Muted, everybody. That's it. So,
All right. Well, Dave Jenks is someone who likes to be punctual. It is 10 o'clock, and you won't punish those that are here on time. So we're turning it over to you, my friend.
thank you. I know you've got some people, Mandy, waiting in the waiting room. So again, I can't control that.
Shoot. This is going to
So-
be a problem. Can you make me the host again, Dave, and I can monitor it for a while? I apologize. I don't know why
we got, well, that's the thing, I think. Hang on, the 1 hour and 10 minutes. And then it's open for questions and chatting and talking with each other. Any questions you have or whatever, I'm going to offer you a chance to get some extra materials that I have. But pay attention to this, because the name of the game of real estate is listing, by the way. I mean, there's a lot of things we do to serve buyers and investors and others, but the name of the game, it's leads, listings, and leverage, but the core of it is listings, and you're going to get a better sense of that even today. And of course, building that listing skill makes a big difference. So that is our topic today, and I think I'm ready to use the screen, Mandy, if we can do that.
I can give you that, but I won't be able to admit people in the waiting room anymore.
I know. Well, I don't. So, there's got to be a way to do. I go so many other Zoominars that I share the screen and they're managing the mutes and everything. There's not a co-host opportunity, for me.
And I've seen it so many times, and it's not letting me do it. That's our technology today, right? Sometimes it works for us and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, it's very strange. Okay, well, anyway, we got to dive in.
Okay.
So let's go do it.
All right.
And for those that miss it, you can let them know if they email you or something that you're recording this, so they can watch the recording. But once I start sharing the screen, it's everyone that's in, right?
You got it. Yep.
Okay, Mandy.
All right. Over to you.
Here we go. Well, thanks everybody. Let me tell you what I really want to share with you today. First, I really want to thank your leadership for bringing me in. This is a special opportunity. They made it happen. They funded it. They made this happen to bring me to you. And it's a special opportunity because, even though, I've been in the real estate business over 30 years, I've co-authored MREA and Shift and MREI and all those best-selling books with Gary Keller. I was part of that early foundation that built the company. And I want to share with you, how we did what we did. That's really the important thing. But one of the keys I want to say to you is, and it's about you being on this call. Gary Keller and I, we were forming Keller Williams University. We asked ourselves, what makes top producers top producers? And we agreed it's one thing. It's one main thing, and that is they're learning based. They are willing to go to more training than others. They develop their own skills more than others. They are training based. In fact, what modern positive psychologists call the difference between growth-oriented people and stability-oriented people. Growth-oriented people believe they can increase their knowledge, expand their bandwidth of skill, improve their attitudes, and get better outcomes, right? They're into self-development. Whereas people who are stability-oriented, they say, I am who I am, what you see is what you get, telling it like it is, doing the best with what I got, right? Well, there's nothing immoral or wrong about that, except it stalls people. And so what I want to say to you, you're on this call, you're growth-oriented. That is a big place to get to in accomplishing what you want. Let me tell you what I want to do in this next time together. I want to help everyone on this call become a much more powerful listing agent, that gives you control of your destiny. And there's a set of skills. See, one of the things that I did when I first got out of the institution of higher education, and I got in the world of business, and I became VP of sales and marketing of a big graphics arts company and printing company in Albany, New York. And I had never been in selling ever. Or marketing. So I'm learning based. So a friend of mine said, you ought to take the Dale Carnegie sales course. And I went, okay, let me go do that. So I did. I went and took it. And I really learned that selling is an amazing profession. I was kind of, as an academic elite looking down my nose, I was working on my doctorate at Michigan State University. And I was kind of, I figured if people didn't have any other skill or any knowledge, then they became a salesperson. And then I learned when I went and took the Dale Carnegie sales course that, oh no, it operates at the highest level of human capacity and courage and discipline, probably than any other profession. I know people would come to Gary and I, and Gary Keller and I, and they would say, well, it's not, it's real estate. It's not really rocket science. And we would go, oh yes, at the highest level, it is rocket science. That's what you need to understand. Done at the highest level, real estate is rocket science. It's that complicated. It's that demanding. It takes the ability to learn skills that most people don't have. So I want to put that in there. That's what I learned. But also what I learned in the idea of selling is that that there are a set of skills that are really important to develop. And when you develop them, you have all kinds of influence over other people in your life, right? In other words, you get to the place where you can articulate your value proposition. See, that's what a lot of people think, for example, that lead generation is the name of the game. Well, it is an important part of the game, but you've got to know your value proposition before you do lead generation. So understanding your value proposition is a big deal. And then it's also where you become a person of influence. That means that you can impact others and get them to do the things they need to do or that you want them to do. You become a person of influence. So today's session is about the art of influence. I just got an award from another national company that I helped build called Master Networks, that is a business-to-business referral network. And they had a big convention and they named me their first ever person of influence. And I think I am a person of influence. I got to do that when I moved with Century 21 in upstate New York, and then they moved me to Dallas, Texas to head up a 7-state division. And I watched this little company growing out of Austin, Texas. And the more I studied it, the more I said, wow, here I was with the #1 largest real estate organization in the world. And I said, if I was going to organize a real estate company, it would be like that one that's growing down in Austin. And then 5 years later, Mo Anderson calls me and says, Dave, Gary and I would like you on our team. We believe you know more about real estate franchising and sales training than anyone that we know. We'd like you on the team. And so I joined that team and we made history, right? We are now the #1 real estate company in the world, not Century 21. And so the reason I'm telling you that story is because the skill and art I want to talk about in this next hour is this art of being a person of influence, of being a leader, of getting other people to do, the kind of things that you want them to do. Now, let's talk about sort of what we're doing here. We're building a listing presentation, and a lot of people underestimate the importance of mastering your listing presentation. One of my mentors early in the business was Mike Ferry, and I went to a big meeting that he held down in Phoenix, about 2,000 people in the room. And Mike, he's a hard-nosed prospecting guy, does scripts and dialogues. And he said in front of that group, he said, there's 3 things that make us great in real estate sales, 3 skills. One is prospecting, the other is presenting, and the third one is closing. He said, which of those 3 do you think is most important? And he said, how many think it's prospecting? And of course, every hand in the place went up. And he went, no, it's not. It's not. How many think it's closing, staying in there, answering all their objections, staying in until they sign on the bottom line? And he went, and maybe half the hands went up, and he went, no. He said, it's presenting, because until you present, until you have mastered your listing presentation, you won't prospect. You won't know your value proposition. You won't know how to articulate it. You won't know how to answer people's questions or objections, and you won't do it. You won't lead generate. You must master your listing presentation. So that's today. It's the heart. The heart of being a great agent is mastering your sales presentation. And we're going to work on that today, right? Now, one of the things that underpins it all are the mastering of scripts and dialogues. It's the power of your words. That's the subtitle on this, the Why List With Me, the power of your words. Scripts and dialogues lead you to use more powerful words. Think about this. Scripts are the poetry of selling. Scripts are the poetry of selling. It's how you say things better, not just better, but more emotionally impactful. That is the key. So really learning scripts and dialogues is a really, really big deal, right? It's a big deal. So We're going to talk about how you do that and why you do it. Think about this. I mean, we all watch movies and TV series and all that stuff. And what is it? It's just a set of scripts written by great writers who can state emotionally powerful things in phrases and dialogue. And what happens? Actors memorize those. They memorize those. Then they get the emotional content of those. Then they deliver them. And then we watch it and it touches us. It's emotionally powerful. Well, selling is about touching other people and getting them to want to work with you. Scripts and dialogues are the key to it. Scripts are the poetry of selling, right? And then this is all about gaining confidence. We're in a confidence game. Any competitive sport is a matter of confidence. You'll hear professional athletes say, yeah, you know, I've got more confidence right now. I'm feeling confident in my golf swing. I'm feeling confident with my three-point shot. You know, I'm feeling confident in my skating routine. Whatever it is, confidence leads it. And remember this, competence leads to confidence. Yes, you can do self-talk and you certainly don't want to undermine yourself. So you can do positive things mentally to feel more confident, but truthfully, what really leads to confidence is competence, knowing what you're doing, mastering what you're doing. And this game of real estate is incredibly competitive. And somehow people feel, and we did it in our last session, say to you, a third of your time should be in personal development and training, building your skills, building your competence at doing this work, because it's not an easy game. Real estate is not an easy game to succeed at. Maybe only 20% of people who ever get into real estate really make it in any way a career, and only 10% really do well, and then 5%, you know, at the high level. So just matter, it's a game of confidence, and we're going to talk about how you build that confidence, but you do it through gaining your competence, and then that gives you control over your career. What I say to people is, if you could do 10 transactions in a year, you've got the game. You've mastered the beginning of the game. Now, if you can take it to 20, then there's no limit to how big you can take it. If you can do that many transactions in a year, it's just a matter of how. It's MREA. It's leads, listings, and leverage. So this list, being a confident lister, is really the foundational name of this game. Now, understand, here's what we have to build in competence. And we covered this last time in the magic, magic comes in threes. Why people list with you? Because you're competent. What does that mean? You have the knowledge, skills, and attitudes of a really top professional agent. You know your contracts, you know financing, your property valuation. You can say to them, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, by the time we get to the end of this contract, there will be 75 to 85 pages or more of legal documents that I will be reviewing on your behalf to make sure they're accurate and protect you, and that you can feel comfortable signing them. You can trust me because I am a master of contracts. So you want to be able to say that to people. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I know finance. So when we get our first offer, I can evaluate whether that potential buyer is qualified to buy your property and whether we could should take it off the market and enter into that contract. I can understand that. Why? Because I know financing. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a master of property evaluation. I know what makes homes valuable. I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I'm better than they are at estimating what a home will sell for and knowing the current conditions in the market, what market changes, and also what makes a home more valuable. So you can trust me to get you the highest possible price for your home. Why? Because I'm a master of property evaluation. So you want to be able to say those, listen, I want you to hear that language of assertiveness and benefits. And then of course, the next, that's knowledge. Those three areas of knowledge, a big deal. Building your competence in those three areas makes a big difference in how you can confidently present and make your listing presentation. And then skills, you're going to be masters of communication, getting along with people, building rapport, having them trust you, getting to know. You're going to talk a little bit about that, but it underpins it all. Being a good communicator really matters in this business. And then of course, making good presentations, we're going to focus on that. And then using the Y4C2Ts of Keller Williams to negotiate win-win agreements where the customer always comes first, together everyone achieves more, right? So it's, it's learning those skills. And so we have knowledge and skills, but then the other element of this is our attitude. And see, there's three attitudes. I've talked about this in Magic Comes in Threes, but it's intention, assertiveness, and commitment. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am a person of intention. When I determine to do things, I get it done. I set goals, I make things happen. I have action plans, I know what I'm doing. I stay on track and I get things done. So you can rely on me that when you have me handle the sale of your home, it's going to get done. It's going to get done well. Why? Because I'm a person of intention. So in your mind, become a person of intention, have written goals, have know why you want things, have an action plan to get them, have time blocking so it hits your calendar, and accountability so you stay on track. When you become a person of intention, it comes across to others. They know you get things done, but you can also use that language. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I get things done. The reason you can list with me is because I am going to get your home sold at the highest possible price with in the shortest period of time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. Now, here's a big one: assertiveness. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm an assertive person. I'm not an aggressive person. I get along well with people. I communicate very well, but I stand up. I stand up and protect your interest. I stand up if somebody else is trying to do something that works against you. I will never sit back. I will protect you all the way to closing. I just want you to know, because I am an assertive person. Now, I want to give a little hint to you. See, I believe people in selling can all be more assertive than they are. Not more aggressive, not more hostile, not none of that stuff. No, no, no. I mean more assertive, meaning to ask for what they want, to be sure for they want, to have expectations about that they're going to get it, to protect, as my wife says, their boundaries. That it really requires us being more assertive. And a lot of us in this business are actually surprisingly kind of passive. You know, we don't stand up and state our goals, and we don't make bold presentations, and we don't assert what we can do. You know, we kind of backed off and playing it easy and wanting people to like us and all that stuff. And I learned one of the keys that unlocked my leadership career. I realized when I was a director of training for Century 21 for 3 states in upstate New York, that if I wanted to be a higher level leader in business, I needed to get more assertive. I needed to be more assertive. And I started to consciously build my assertiveness. There's a wonderful thing called the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. And I can send you a copy of it. I'll tell you how later. The Assertiveness Bill of Rights. I had it over my desk, and it kept reminding me to be more assertive, to stand up, speak my mind, say what was on my mind, ask for what I wanted, right? And be persistent in that. All of that. So becoming more assertive. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm an assertive person. That means I will always protect your interests. No one will take advantage of us, because I have the courage and the willingness to stand up and do the right thing. Does that make sense? Okay. And then the final one is commitment, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. Promises made, promises kept. When I say I'm going to do something, you can take it to the bank. I'm a person of commitment. I make commitments all the time, and I live up to them. And this is something you can count on. Again, if I say I'm going to do it, you know it's going to get done, because I'm a person of commitment. See, I'm giving you a little practice. And when you have that nature, when you are a person of intention and assertiveness and commitment, then you can make those kind of statements. And that's what people want to work with, right? They do. Okay, so there you are. Knowledge, skills, and attitudes, building your competence to grow your confidence. Now, people do business with people they know. People do business with people they like. So we need to work on our communication skills. And this is another thing that I learned in the Dale Carnegie Institute. Dale Carnegie wrote a wonderful book called How to Win Friends and Influence People. It is so good about building great relationships, about getting others to listen to you, and getting others to do things that maybe currently they're not wanting to do. In other words, being able to change their attitudes without offending them. And these are master skills. And I would tell you that his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is in the top 200 of Amazon.com every year. And it was written 80 years ago. Why? Because it's full of timeless truth. It's just like MREA. The reason MREA is still the best-selling book, not only in the history of real estate, but currently, is because it's written it's full of timeless truth. And you need to go back to that and reconnect with that if you haven't. So this is a great book. And here I just want to share his 9 fundamental principles. First, he has his big 3. Number 1 is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. He said, when you go into that space, you go negative, and you feel negative, and you feel angry, and you're not positive. You don't make good things happen. And if you join in with other people, they don't like it, and it goes in a negative direction. And certainly, you don't do it with other people, right? Because that just reflects so poorly on you. Even if you're criticizing something else, even if you're agreeing with them about something they're complaining about. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. My wife and I we follow this all the time with each other. We don't get into criticizing, condemning, complaining about others, and we don't certainly do it about each other. Why? It doesn't lead to good, positive relationships. It doesn't lead to constructive and creative outcomes. It's a swamp. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. And then second of all, give honest, sincere appreciation. Probably the phrase thank you is the most powerful script there is. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, for opening your home and letting me come here to earn the right of handling the sale of your home for you. I really appreciate your time. Jim Droz, who was the #1 agent in all of Century 21 when I joined, for 3 straight years out of Santa Clarita, California. Interesting average sale price, about $85,000, right? Even in California at that time. But he was a but he was so gentlemanly and soft. Here would be his script. He wanted to get to know everyone in his farm area when he started in the business. He said, people do business with people they know. People do business with people they like. I want to meet everybody. So he met 590 some people in 6 months in his 600 home area. And here was his script. He'd knock on the door, knock, knock, knock. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, I'm really sorry to bother you here at home. I know it's your quiet and personal time. I'm Jim Droz with Century 21. And I just have one question I'd like to ask. May I? Yeah, sure, Jim. My commitment is to make this the best possible neighborhood to live in. What one thing could I do or cause to be done that would make this a better neighborhood to live in? That was it. Some would invite him in for coffee. Some would give him one idea, like cut down that tree that's blocking the stop sign at the end of the street, or get that lawn mowed down the street. Those people, have moved away and it's looking ugly, or whatever it was. And then he would go act and get it done. And then he would communicate with them. And then they would be on a mailing list of his twice a month. But the thing was that front contact was so soft, so gentle. Now, in 6 months, he took 37 listings without even asking for listings. Isn't that interesting? When he would show up for a listing appointment, he would come in and he'd let them sit where they wanted to. And he'd say, thank you very much for letting me in your home. And I really hope I can earn the right to handle your sale of your home. He said, I have a presentation I want to make. And he would pull out this flip chart. Back in the old days, we used listing flip charts, but he would put a leather pad underneath it on the table. He said, I want to put this here so I don't mar your table, right? He was always very kind. He said, I even learned to park on the street instead of in their driveway, because one couple told me that this other agent drove their sports car right up in their driveway and left an oil stain on their driveway. And I went, whoa. Be very careful of their property. So give honest, sincere appreciation. Thank you. Have that appreciative attitude toward them, right? And just do that. So that's the second thing. And then the third one is, focus on what other people want. Zig Ziglar said, you will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. Powerful. That's called the platinum rule. You will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. So, focus on what other people want. You be sure, I'm just here to get a feeling for what you and your wife want to accomplish and how I can help, right? My job is to get your home sold with the highest possible price, minimum of inconvenience to you in the shortest time, and to make sure that your goals are met. Right. So always focus on what other needs. It's a giving attitude, right? It's that idea of service. So there's the big three. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest, sincere appreciation, and focus on what other people want. By the way, this is more powerful than you might realize. It's the nature of who you are around the technical side of what you do. Very important. Now, he has a support of 6. I'm going to run these real quick. Number 1 is be genuinely interested in another person. Let curiosity drive you. Be interested in them. Don't, just want to get to know them. Gary Gentry, the agent who closed the first deal ever in Keller Williams back in 1983, still one of our top agents. He and his wife, Melody, run a wonderful team in Austin, Texas. And he said, Dave, I can learn more of somebody in a half an hour. And because I'm sincere, I ask questions, I probe, I listen carefully. I encourage them to talk more, and they just share with me, right? And I think great salespeople get people to open up and share with them. Number 2, smile. I mean, people want to work with positive people. I know in this age of wearing masks, we can't tell the nonverbal signals, but when you have that chance, smile. People love to work with positive, smiling people. Let that inner energy come through in a positive way for you. Number 3 is remember people's names. Now, here's one thing I don't want you to do. Don't say, oh, Dave, I'm not very good with names. Oh, I'm not good. I've never been good at remembering names. Do not, why would you give yourself that self-talk? Why would you put that label on yourself that you're no good at remembering names? What a dead end to put yourself in. No, say, okay, I'm working on it. It's a skill I'm really trying to build. It's not been easy for me, but I'm getting better at remembering people's names. But here's the thing to remember. Everyone struggles with remembering people's names. Why? Because it's on 2 different parts of the brain, right? When that ability to connect with people emotionally and know who they are and what they're like and where they've been and their life story and feel an identity and an affinity with them, that's all right brain stuff. Labels, their name, their dog's name, their kid's name, where they work, where they came from, all those labels are a left brain function. And your job in communication is to link the 2, right? To connect that sense of them. You meet them tomorrow morning and you really just, you remember who they are, what they did, but you can't remember their name. So the key to remembering names is repetition. Just write that down. Repetition is the mother of mastery. Repetition is the mother of memory. So you have to repeat it. So the first thing is you have to get it, write it down, always, in every encounter, write it down. If you meet somebody in the supermarket and you say, oh, hi, I'm Dave, oh, you're Madeline, and write it down. If you're in a conversation with someone and you realize that you have forgotten their name because you were so distracted at the beginning, then just ask them, say, oh, by the way, I had a little mind glitch here. I forgot your name. Okay, thank you. Mary, thank you. And then you write it down. So write it down, and particularly if you're going into an appointment, and then be clear that how they like to be called. If it's Elizabeth, say, do you like Elizabeth or Beth or Liz, or how do you like to be called? Is it Dave or David, James or Jim? You know, that kind of thing. Get to know that name, then use it. Dave, thank you very much for letting us come here tonight and earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Dave, I really, there's a few things that I want to do in this presentation tonight. And if you have any questions, Dave, be sure to ask them. But I'm going to go through and I'm going to get a clear picture, Dave, of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Does that sound good, Dave? Now, you may think, oh my God, that's overuse. That's over. Not to them. The sound of their name is musical. It's magical. So you can't overuse their name. So that's a great way. And that repetition then gets it into your mind and you make the connection, right? Third one, or fourth one, encourage others to talk about themselves. Find out about their interests, about themselves, not just their circumstances, but about them. How did you get interested in this? How'd you happen to move to this area? Really, how long have you been in that career? How long are you in that career? What's your, oh, you like to play those games? When did you start doing that? You know, so it's always that kind of encourage them to talk about themselves. And then here's the other one, talk about their interests, get to know them. A lot of people have this mistaken identity, feeling that if we have common interests, that creates a bond, right? Like someone will say, yeah, well, I like to play golf. Oh, you like to play golf? I do too. I'm a golf fanatic. You know, I have a 9.2 handicap. What's yours? Are you a member of a country club? I'm a member of Oak Creek over here. Yeah. And what kind of courses have you liked that you've played? I got to play Pebble Beach, by the way. You know, and all of a sudden you're talking about you instead of them. And you're doing the me too. And actually it sets up almost a competitive, sometimes adversarial relationship. Who's done more? Who knows more movies? Who has the best movie stars? That kind of thing. So talk in terms of their interest. If you have an affinity, like say you know movies inside and out, you know actors and actresses and directors, and you say to them, and they say, oh, we kind of like to watch a lot of movies. You go, really? Have you always liked to watch movies? Yeah. What are your favorite kinds of movies? You know, do you have any special actors and actresses that you like, or directors whose films you always want to watch? Okay. Whoa, that's interesting. What would you recommend to me? If there were 2 or 3 movies that you've seen recently that you would recommend, I like movies too, but what would you recommend to me? See, let them talk about their interest. Don't do the me too. The me too does not create bonding. It creates competition. So talk about their interests, not yours, right? And then make others feel important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, you're the boss. I appreciate the opportunity to come here and earn the right and interview for the job of getting your home sold. but you're going to make the decisions. And all the way when we work together, by the way, I'll give you lots of recommendations and advice. But in the end, what you want to do is what we will do because you're the boss, right? Put them in that position of control. Now, also, if they have an important position or they have a position or they're a volunteer somewhere or they've been in the military, thank you for your service. Honor what they've done and what they're doing and make them feel important, right? So these are so powerful. So here are the supportive 6. Be genuinely interested in others. Smile, let that energy come through. Remember people's names, do the repetition. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Don't do the me too. Don't do the me too. Make sure that you talk about their interests, not just yours, and then make others feel important all the way. So there we have it. We have the competence end. What is it I get paid for and I get better and better at, and it builds that competence builds my confidence. I am really good at communicating people, building rapport, building connection. Here are the ways I do it, and I'm really self-aware of getting better at this. And then the next one is scripts and dialogues. Remember, I said scripts are the poetry of selling. One of the interesting things that happened to me, I came with Keller Williams in 2002 after we'd been together 6 years, and just before we wrote MREA, I was doing a thing called Wealth Building Wednesdays, and I would be interviewing people who had come with Keller Williams and what they learned and why we were a better place than the former company they were with and what made us such a strong company and all of that. And I was articulating our value proposition. And an old staff member of mine, Christy, her name was, when I was with Century 21, took a job with Remax. And she sent me an email and she said, Dave, I just came back from a meeting in Atlanta with Remax, and we spent a whole afternoon of how to compete against Keller Williams. And she said, your picture got up there and they said, this is Dave Jenks. He's their wordsmith. He's their marketing guru. And wow, I took that as an honor, but she kind of laughed at that. But the reason is because over the time of my career, I have learned how to use the power of words, of conceptions, how to master the articulation of a value proposition and why people should be with you, why they should be with Keller Williams, why they should list with me. And I did it by mastering the best language I could find or describe or others had written on how to say things. And we call them scripts and dialogues. And the key to this is, and Gary Keller and I say it, it's memorize, internalize, customize, and capitalize. In other words, first you must memorize it, right? As it is. Actors don't change the scripts they're given. No, they don't have the awareness for the power of words that a good writer does, the one who writes the poetry. So they memorize it. Then they internalize it, right? They feel the emotional power of it. And you will. The more you memorize something, the more you memorize it exactly as it's written, the more you will feel the rhythm and the poetry and the strength and the emotional power of what you've just memorized. So then it will come out and you've internalized it. Now it comes out and you customize it, right? Like what that means, you only use parts of scripts. I'm going to give you several scripts in a few minutes, and you can use just parts of any of them anytime in any presentation you're doing. But for example, here's a great script. Handle the sale of your home. That's a powerful script. That little phrase, thank you, is a powerful phrase. But handle the sale of your home, not sell it, market it, list it. Those are mundane ways to say things. What you say is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will make sure that, and you go through what you do. And Mr. and Mrs. Seller, the key now for me in handling the sale of your home and getting it priced right and getting you the most money possible. See, always handle the sale of your home. So start to learn phrases like that are better ways to say things. That's one. Linda McKissick said that the way she unlocked her career, she said, was, Dave, I had to learn how to say things. Linda McKissick went from failing out of real estate in 1991 to being a 7th level agent 8 years later, where her team, the McKissick Group, our systems are your solution. That was their motto. She had 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. She wasn't even managing it. She was the owner of it, 7th level. It did 352 transactions that year, 8 years after almost failing out of real estate. And she said, Dave, here's what I had to learn. I had to learn that I was a pretty boring speaker. I kind of told it like it was. I'm a country girl. And I realized that the way I said things wasn't very powerful. And I had to learn how to say things in a powerful way. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples that she taught me later. But she said, then it just launched my career. And that's what we mean by capitalize. So memorize, internalize, customize, capitalize. And by the way, this takes time. See, it's amazing to me. There's a wonderful book called The Warrior Elite by Dick Couch. And it's about the training of Navy SEALs. And after they go through their 6-week intensive training where half of them drop out, that's to qualify. Then as Navy SEALs, certified, trident, emblazoned Navy SEALs, they spend 18 months training for every 6 months in the battlefield. 18 months for every 6. Great scripts and people who master scripts and dialogues. They spend hours mastering that script and dialogue before they go on stage or in front of the camera to do it. Great athletes spend hours and hours and hours of practicing and building the skill and building that little the little extra parts of it, the subtle parts of it before they go into the field of competition. And yet somehow people in real estate think you can just take your own natural personality and what you know and go in and win people over and have them list with you. And I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. The real pros take the time to master their skills. And part of that is mastering the way they talk about things, scripts and dialogues. So then let's take a look at what happens in a listing presentation. There's a process. After you've built rapport, viewed the home, gotten to know them, asked all the questions, gotten a good feel for who they are, now we sit down to do the presentation. And the first thing you want to do is set the stage to get their expectations right. Then you make your presentation. And part of that, the key in that presentation is highlighting the benefits of why work with you. And then you deal with a couple of issues, pricing and staging. And then of course, if there's any question about it, you explain the commissions. And we're going to go through this, but let's talk about setting the stage. Setting the stage gets the right kind of atmosphere going at the beginning for them and for you. And here's a wonderful one, comes from Mike Ferry, called the 1-minute listing presentation. Listen to this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Yeah, Dave, we got to be gone in like 6-8 weeks. Great. 2, are you willing to price it to sell? Well, I guess we'll have to price it whatever you say we should price it, Dave. Okay, great. And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Oh yeah, you were recommended by Bill and Jean, and we really want to work with you. Great. Well, let's get started. See, I've got the listing. I just did a 1-minute listing presentation, 3 questions. I got 3 yeses. And now let's get to work. I don't need to justify who I was, all the sales I've done, the testimonials I have, the certificates I have, the training I've gotten. Why would I go into all that when they've already given me 3 yeses and my listing presentation is over with? Now we're going to get into pricing and the contract and filling things out and making a strategy and doing all the actual work of getting the home sold. So this is a great way to efficiently do a listing presentation. Well, Dave, they don't always give yeses. Oh, okay. Well, let's go a little different role play on this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Well, no, Dave, no, we love it here. We really like it. We just thought maybe, we'd put it on the market and see what it might sell for. Great. Thank you very much. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need to get at least 700,000 for it, at least 700,000 for it. Okay, thank you very much. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, I mean, we're interviewing you, but we're interviewing, 2 other agents too. Great, let's get started. Now notice, I didn't jump in, buy in, get involved in any discussion about their answers. What I was doing was searching for information. The first one's about motivation. Do you really absolutely need to sell your home? Well, in this case, sounds like maybe they don't. I'm going to have to probe that. Now, they might just be saying that. They might really do want to sell the home. That's fine. I'll probe it. But I know right now, I don't know if their motivation may not be strong enough. I may not want to take the listing. Why? Because it wouldn't be worthwhile. They're going to be unrealistic about pricing. They don't have a sense of urgency, might not take the listing. So the first one, the answer to their first question is about motivation. Second one is about education. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need 700,000. And I know in my mind, we can't get 590 for it. I mean, that's going to be about our best. 590. Okay, I'm going to have to educate them about the marketplace and how it works and what kind of price we can get, right? I just chalk that up from my mind. I'll do it right then. I don't debate it. I just chalk it up. Whoop, they're going to need to be educated about the marketplace. And the third one is willingness or commitment. Would you like me to handle the sale for you? No, we're interviewing 2 other agents. And what I know is I need to be so good in my listing presentation that they say, Dave, we'd like you to handle it for me. And I say, that's fine. Great, great. I'll call those 2 other agents you were talking about. I'll tell them that they can bring their buyers to your home. We'd happy to have that happen, but that we've already got it listed and we're working on it, right? Would you like me to do that? Great, happy to do it for you. Right? See, so all this is, just get this clear in your mind. This is a way for you to test the waters of where they are. And if it's all positive, you can just dive into it, right? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? 2, are you willing to price it to sell? And 3, would you like me, notice I'm shaking my head, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Handle the sale for you, right? So there you go. This is, and by the way, just memorizing that will just be a wonderful place to begin any conversation about listing their home, right? Now here's another one. See, a lot of people, what you have to be afraid of when you're making a presentation is they're not paying attention. Their mind is drifting somewhere else, homeschooling the kids tomorrow, the shopping list, the, other things that are at work that are on their mind. So you have to get their attention. Here's one way. It's called the 3 outcomes. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, one of 3 things will happen. I will decide, or you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Or 2, you will decide not to list with me. Or 3, I will decide not to take your listing. Any of those things is okay with me. Does that make sense? Whoa. See, right away, they're going, uh-oh, we're going to have to make a decision. We better pay attention. 3 outcomes could happen. They're all very different. We'd better pay attention. We may want him to handle the sale. We may decide, I guess, maybe not. And he's saying he might not take the listing. And of course, the question might be, or I'll decide not to take the listing. Any of those things is okay with me. Does that make sense? Well, no, Dave, why wouldn't you take the listing? Well, because I'm in the job of meeting people's expectations and actually exceeding them. And if I really have a sense that I can't do that for you, then I'm not going to waste your time or mine by taking your listing. You understand? Yeah, that would be okay with me. We want to do the right thing here. I'm just making sure we're doing the right thing. See, and one of the things that Mike Ferry taught me was that firing a seller is a good idea sometimes. Say that something's going really bad. They're complaining a lot. They don't like what you're doing. They don't think you're doing enough. We're not getting enough showings, whatever it is. And they've been saying that, and then that might be the right time to come in and say, Mr. Seller, let's just take a moment here and get our breath. Here's what I think. I think that it's time to part ways. Be friends. I'll let you out of the listing because, I think that it's just the right thing to do. What do you mean, Dave? What do you mean? What are you talking about? Well, I can tell you're not happy with how things are going. And my job is to get the job done and please you. And clearly I'm not. So I think it's right for you to be able to go do something else. Does that make sense? I'm not going to hold you to this. Oh no, Dave, we really want you to do it. Please. Well, I know we've been a little tight lately. We've been under a lot of stress. We've been probably a little hard to work with. We're really sorry. Please, no. Help us get this home sold. See, that may be what happens. Or they may say, Dave, I think you're right. Good idea. Let's part ways. And you do. But see, now you've got the burden off of your back of a listing that isn't going well or is really bringing you down. So the point is, always be able to weigh in when you do it right at the front end. See, now they know that you're not there with dollar signs in your eyes and that you need the listing. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, and you say, I may decide not to take your listing. Now, here's one other thing you can do. Great listing agents take a listing in about half an hour, maybe 45 minutes, a little time for rapport, and maybe their assistant measures things and takes photographs afterwards, or they do. But the point is the heart of the listing presentation is only about half an hour. And so this is how you set that stage. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, which by the way should only take 30 minutes, 45 minutes at the longest, one of 3 things is going to happen. 1, you will decide to have me handle the sale of your home. 2, you'll decide not to list with me. Or 3, I'll decide not to take your listing. Any of those 3 is okay with me. You understand? Does that make sense? See, now you've put a time frame on it. Now they know not only is the decision going to get made, but they better pay attention because things are moving fast. So great way to be in control. Great way to be in control and not feel like you're needy. All right, here's another one about setting the stage. It's called Safe Island. I learned this from Floyd Wickman. He said, people don't know where your presentation's going, and they're not sure, like, is it going to go on forever? Or is it going to be a slideshow? Is it going to be boring? And so they may not be paying attention. And he said, here's the thing, you want to get their comfort level up about what's happening next in your presentation. And it's called the Safe Island. And it also includes a neat little memory trick that's great. It's called stacking. In other words, when you want to memorize a presentation or a class you're doing or a speech you're giving, take each of the elements of it and create an object on top of one another in a stack. And then mentally, you'll remember that object and it'll trigger for you what's next. And without looking at notes or anything, you can just follow your way through your outline. And I'll show you how this works. When I teach a class in mastering scripts and dialogues, here's what it looks like. 20, 30 people. They're all standing, in front of me. They don't have any notes, no chairs, no tables. I'm standing in front of them, no chair, no table, no notes, no technology. And here's what we do for 3 hours with a couple of breaks is we memorize scripts. I give them a script. I role play it for them. I demonstrate it for them. Then we repeat it together several times. Then they role play with each other. Then they come back and we repeat it. Then we move on to the next script. And sometimes we go back and do other scripts that we just did for that repeat and memorization factor. So the point is, all that takes place with no one having any notes. And the way I can work through that is I have this stack of objects that tells me what the next script is that we're going to do. And I memorize it. So let me show you how it works. A little demonstration here called Setting the Stage, the Safe Island, right? So at the bottom of the stack is the letter B followed by the number 4 in bright pink. B4, right? On top of B4 is a stopwatch, but only has 1 minute on it. A 1 minute stopwatch, we think 1 minute. On top of that are 4 steps coming out of the top of the watch, numbered 1, 2, 3, 4. On the top step are a bunch of question marks, all clumped together, right? On top of the question marks is a grocery cart. We call it a market basket, filled with numbers, right? Just a market basket. On top of the handle of the market basket is a jail cell, a window with bars on it, prisoner behind it, and we think jail cell. And coming out of the top of the cell is a spiral staircase of steps, and we think steps, spiral staircase with a bunch of steps, right? So what's on the bottom? B4. Then what? 1 minute. Then what? 4 steps. Then what? Question marks. Then what? Market basket. Then what? Jail cell. Then what? Spiral staircase of steps. All right, here's how it goes. Follow me through on this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, may I take a minute to tell you how I work? Great. Basically, I use a 4-step process. 1, I will ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Then I will give you enough market information for you to make a rational decision about the price to place on your property. Then I'm going to honestly sell you on the benefits of working with me and my company and how we get the results we do. And then finally, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will tell you step by step all the things I will do to cause your home to sell. Does that make sense? Should we get started? Good, here we go. See, and then you just go into your presentation. But what they get is, oh, he's organized. It's outlined very clearly. We can see this happening and this shouldn't take too long, but we know where it's going and he's in control. Beautiful, beautiful, called setting the stage. Now, here's the thing. Here's the heart of selling. This is what I learned in the Dale Carnegie Institute. It's called facts, benefits, and feelings. Facts, benefits, and feelings. Facts, what I do. Benefits, what they get. Feelings, how they will feel. All great sales presentations wrap around this idea of telling people the facts, what I do, or the benefit, or the nature of the product. We're talking services, so it's really what I do. Facts, what I do. Benefits, what they get. Feelings, how they feel. Write those 3 words down and always be thinking about, even when you're talking to your child and doing their homework, right? Or your husband into mowing the lawn. It's all about, here's what you need to do and here's the benefit you'll receive and we'll all get, and here's how it will feel after you're done. Right? It's that kind of thing. So we always say, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what I do, which means that you get this, and this will make you feel this. So for example, let me just give you a couple of examples. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to give you full details of current market information, which will allow you to make a rational decision about the price we're going to place on the property and how we can get the most possible money for your home, which will feel and give you that feeling of satisfaction that you did the right thing and got the most out of selling your home. Does that make sense? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you can ask me questions anytime, but I am going to report to you once a week on exactly where your sale is, which means you will know that your home is moving along on this track, which the steps were involved and how it's progressing. And that'll give you this feeling of peace of mind and knowledge of what's happening in the sale. Does that make sense? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said to you, there may be 75 or 85 pages of legal or more of legal documents involved in this transaction. I am going to review them in detail, which means you will know that anything that needs to be done has been done right, and any documents you need to sign, you can be confident in signing, and that can give you that feeling of security and confidence that things are being taken care of on your behalf. You see how we're doing that? Facts, what I do, benefits, what they get, feelings, how they will feel about it. So, by the way, you want to get focused on this idea, of generating feelings, peace of mind and relaxation, that they're respected and listened to. I answer all their questions, that confidence and security, the feeling of satisfaction and well-being and excitement and happiness about moving on to their new home after they got the highest possible price for this one. And all the details were taken care of and no hassle for them, all of that, right? So just thinking in the heart of always talking about what you do and why people list with you. It's always, here's what I do, here's what my clients receive, and here's what it makes them feel like, right? Just work on this. I'm telling you, you do it with 8 or 10 different things that you do as part of this and build that facts, benefits, and feeling run. Now, pay very close attention right now, because this is for me, the heart of a great listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 3 fundamental reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Should we get started? Yeah, Dave, let's go. Let's get at it. This is great. I love that. By the way, that's it. You don't have to justify, prove anything else. Again, testimonials, certificates, how many sales you've done before, all that stuff. You don't have to do that. You can have that ready in case you need it. But this is fundamentally what they want. All the research says it. They want they want someone they can trust. Number 2 is they want someone who takes them seriously and gives them the answers to any questions they have and treats them with respect. And 3rd, they want someone to take care of all the details and be sure it's done right and protect their interests all the way through closing. They want to be taken care of, right? So I'm just going to tell you, in your own mind, keep it simple. Keep it simple. And if you need to go more complex, we'll show that in a second. You can. But Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Does that make sense? Is that what you want? Should I do that? Good. Now, by the way, you can expand it, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. There's really 3 reasons to list with me. First of all, I'm a very trustworthy person. People trust me all the time. What I say I'm going to do, I get done. You can trust me. Number 2 is I will take you seriously and answer all your questions. You can call me anytime and ask any questions that you have. And I'm a professional. I know what I know and I know what I don't. If I know the answer, I'm going to give it to you straight out. If I don't know the answer, I've got this amazing world-class company behind me called Keller Williams. I will go get that right answer and I will give that to you. And 3rd, as we said earlier, there'll be 75, 85 pages of legal documents and all kinds of procedures and other people involved in the transaction. And all the way through that, I'm going to stand up for you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to make sure the right things are happening on your behalf. I'm going to review any legal details and make sure nothing goes wrong. I will protect you all the way through closing. See, so if you feel the need of adding more words to it, you can. But this is the simple one, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. There's 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing, right? Powerful. Simple is powerful. I want you to know this is poetry. This is poetry. Now, also, some people, though, you talk to will want detail. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 10 things that I do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to share with you? Well, Dave, not much. We really are, we're ready to move. Let's go. We know you'll inform us along the way. Let's just get started. Great. Here we go. Now, remember, this is an amazing magic in MREA. Page 95 is a whole listing presentation right on one page. You could make a photocopy of that page, go into a seller and read it. Here are the 10 things, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I do to cause your home to sell successfully. And you could read that and it would be better than 95% of all listing presentations they've ever had. Why? Because it's detailed, accurate, and thorough. It's right there on page 95. There's also a buyer rep presentation there too, but that's a different issue. And then on page 151 of MREA are the 14 ways you cause homes to sell, the way you market them. Now you may have 12 or 10, or you may have 16 or 18, but you have this list and that you can refer to. So let me go another way. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 10 important things I do to serve you and get your home sold. How much detail would you like me to go in? Oh, Dave, tell us all about it. We'd really like to know. We really want to understand this. Great. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 10 things that I'm going to do. Number one is I'm going to ask you a series of questions and do a very thorough needs analysis so I'm clear on your priorities and what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Number two is I'm going to help you build a pricing strategy. I'll give you enough market information so we can make an intelligent decision about the price to place on your property so we can get you the most money possible. Number three is in order to increase the value of your home, we're going to look at any repairs that might be done now. I've got providers that can get that done. And we want to stage your home so it competes really well against all the other homes buyers are looking at in this category. And number four is I have 14 steps of ways I market your property, and we'll review those at the time and decide which ones are appropriate for your home and get all of that in place before we even put it on the market. And number five is when my real job begins when we get our first offer, and I have to evaluate it and decide, are we willing to take our home temporarily off the market to agree with this? And if we need to, number six, I'll negotiate all the details of a final contract, make sure your interests are covered, the terms are right, there's nothing wrong in it, and that you can feel comfortable in agreeing to that contract. And then, of course, there may be some other additional repairs required. I have vendors that will do that. I can oversee them. I'll tell you what the pricing is. I'll get your approval, but I'll coordinate all those repairs that might need to be done if they are. And eight, as I said to you, there could be 75, 85 pages of legal documents, and I will review them all in detail and make sure they're filled out correctly, no mistakes, your interests are covered properly in them, and you can be confident in signing them. I'll make sure that you're protected all the way. And then I go to closing. I'm there as an advisor. If there's any questions that come up at closing or any problems that need to be resolved, I'm there with you taking care of all aspects of it. And then finally, 10, after we get the house closed, my job isn't done. I want to be your realtor for life. I'll help you with your moving in any ways. By the way, do you have a listing? Do you have an agent where you're moving, helping you find a home there? Because if you don't, I can find you a really good one, and then I can coordinate really well with what they're doing to help you buy and what I'm doing to help you get this one sold. Does that make sense? Great. And then, of course, the sale of any home is a tax event, and so we need to make sure that I'll prepare any documents for your CPA or your attorney, right, or your tax prep person to get that done. All right. So those are the 10 things. Any questions? See, so be ready to run this list. You don't have to do it, but it's very comprehensive and it really is detailed about all the things that you're going to do. Now, there's a few particular scripts that I want us to master. One is, this idea of being a fiduciary, right? So, it's important. We believe that it's important in every real estate transaction for a fiduciary to show up and represent the interest of the clients at every stage of the way and help them make the right decision or take the right action. But you can't, it's not good to use the word fiduciary because people don't know what that means, but there is a way to explain it. So here's the script. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I am licensed by the state of Wisconsin to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interest of any other party, including my own. I am committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. See, that really gives you that authority. I am licensed by the state of Wisconsin, right? You point up to that high authority, not to represent all buyers and sellers. That's generic. No, to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will place your interests above the interests of all other parties, any other party, including my own. My job is to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum inconvenience to you. All right. By the way, for those of you who are taking notes or whatever, if you would like a full copy of all of these slides, plus another document I have called Dave's Favorite Scripts, which include a lot of scripts, particularly in lead generation, that are not here, and the Assertiveness Bill of Rights, then I will, I'll send that to you, right? I'll send all of that to you. All you have to do is write me, dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com, and give me 3 ahas that you got, 3 valuable things, 3 ahas that you got from this presentation. I'm not done yet, so there's still more, but 3, send me those 3, and I will send you within a day all those documents that I just said, okay? Just so you can reference them later, right? Now, Lynn McKissick taught me this one. She said, Dave, you have to state the obvious with emotional power, the obvious with emotional power. And I'd say, what do you mean, Linda? She said, well, let me tell you this. Here's what I learned. To say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately tomorrow morning notify all the other realtors in the area that it's on the market, its best features, and why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, Linda, oh, that'd be great. Please do that. See, what's she talking about? You know, other agents say, well, we'll put it in the MLS and we'll put a sign in the yard, you know. Come on, don't make it boring. This is what they get. This is, we built this platform of the MLS to serve clients and sellers. Let them know what it is and let them know that you're making it happen. When you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately tomorrow morning notify all the other realtors in the area that it's on the market, its best features, and why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. See, you're even putting the reason to work with you, qualified buyers, when they work with you, right? Powerful. Here's another one. Althea Osborne taught me this one. She said, a lot of people I go to list for their $1 million plus homes, and they think that I need to advertise it somewhere. And so she said, I know them, they're tech people typically. And so they'll say, so Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? And she said, well, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. What a powerful script. Poetry. See, and also just that first sentence, it's assertive. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me educate you about how real estate really works. I mean, take charge. You are the expert, not them. Let me educate you about how real estate really works. See, ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission. I know, Dave, everyone co-broke's. No, you're deciding to invest half. You've decided and agreed, maybe in advance, to give whoever brings the buyer half of your commission. It's your commission. I remember when I first got in real estate, brokers didn't co-broke. If they had the listing, you had to buy it through them. They kept all the commission. So understand, we've matured as an industry, but don't take away the benefit that you're giving them of doing it the way you're doing it, right? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. Get that rhythm, the best agents to bring the qualified buyers. That's the poetry. I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And now here's the kicker. And as your agent, I will never waste your money. And I certainly wouldn't waste my own. So whether they think that commission is their money or your money, you're not going to waste it on advertising, right? Powerful. This is powerful. And it also puts you in a class above anyone else. Now, one of the things is be very powerful about why you're with Keller Williams. Someone says, so used to say when I first was there, we only had like 3,000 to 5,000 agents early on in the years, and we'd be going to new places like Wisconsin, and they'd say, no one's ever heard of Keller Williams here. And you go, we taught him to say this. Well, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative, fastest growing real estate company in America and right here in Wisconsin. Yeah. And they go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Yeah. And then you tell them, right? And that's why we're with Keller Williams. So now of course, it's different and it's kind of interesting. We're much more powerful. Yeah, you're with Keller Williams, right? Yes. Let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest, most innovative and highly respected real estate company in the world. And then you kick it with this. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Powerful, powerful. And by the way, it's true, not true in any other real estate company where our agents are treated as partners. And they do, and they can share in the profits, and they have a say in all the things, ALC and all that. And they're free to do things within the law and ethics any way they want to serve their client, right? They don't have to check with management. That's how we treat them. So make it a benefit, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. Yeah, I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. But more important than that, I'm empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. Right? That's assertiveness. That's salesmanship. That's the poetry of scripts and dialogues to come on with that much power. Now we're going to get into pricing. So let me just give you a run. This is chapter 7 and 8 out of the book Shift. Right? Go there. All the things about pricing and staging. But let me just kind of do this really quickly. Well, Dave, Dave, you're showing us that all the market around ours looks like it's around 590-ish or something, but we need 700,000. And I go, you know what? I'm with you. We're going to get you the highest possible price. I want you to understand that commitment. There's no sitting back on that. We're going to get you the highest possible price. Now, here's the thing we both need to deal with. The market is going to determine what the home sells for. We have to play the market that's there. For example, there are a lot of homes that are on the market, but they don't look very good and they're overpriced and they're not getting many showings and they're getting no offers. Then there are homes that are in the market and they're priced right and they look good. And they're not only getting offers, they're getting multiple offers. So my job as your agent is not just to list your home and put it on the market. My job is to make sure that we are in the market. Does that make sense? Because that takes advantage of this window of opportunity. From the time your home goes on the market, there's about a 10-day to 2-week window where we're going to get our best possible price. Because the whole market, when we come on new, is going to pay attention to us. All the agents and their buyers are going to look at us and they're going to check us out. And if we make a bad first impression, we're lost. We can drop the price later. We can do repairs. We're still going to not overcome that bad first impression. So we want to make a great first impression. And then we will get in that first 10 days to 2 weeks our best price. If we're priced right and we're staged well, right? That's the window of opportunity. And what we certainly don't want to do is chase the market. I always price ahead of the market. If the market's going up, I price ahead of it. If it's coming down, I price ahead of it to make sure that my sellers are in the market and can get the highest possible price. What the research says is that overpricing leads to getting less money in the end. So I'm just committed to getting you the highest possible price. Does that make sense? Good. Let's take a look at the numbers and get at it. Right? Okay, that's it. Now, here's a final one. So, Dave, would you cut your commission? Listen, I love doing real estate. There's lots of days I think I'd kind of do this for free. Truthfully, I really enjoy working with people like you so much. And I would love to give you the best value possible. I understand that. I'm a shopper myself. I always want the best value for my money. So I understand your concern about commission. But many people don't understand what happens to commission. So let me explain it. Half, 3% of it goes to the company or agent that brings us the qualified buyers. It's really more like a marketing fee than a commission. Of the remaining 3%, 1/3 of it goes to my company, the #1 company in the world. I get so much support and there's all these agents over there that are going to help get your home sold. So 1% goes to them. Another 1/3 of it, 1%, goes to my business expenses, my staffing, my marketing, my technology, all my business expenses. And that only leaves 1% or 1/3 of all of that for me and my family. And I know that you would consider it wrong for me to cut that, right? Great, let's get going. See, that's it. A lot of people think the whole 6% is coming to you, all $10, $12,000 or 18 or whatever it is. They think it's going to go to you. No, half of it goes to whoever brings the buyer. 1/3 of it goes to your company, 1/3 of it goes to your expenses, and there you are with the rest. So get clear. Don't ever feel embarrassed about the commission. The commission we charge is really well earned. I know an agent in San Antonio, and she says, here's what she said. I say, Dave, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, before we begin, I want you to know I charge 1% more than any other agent. Most other agents are charging 5 or 6%. I charge 7%. Right? I want you to know because I step up and deliver the value that puts more money in your pocket than those other agents will. And I know what I'm worth. So I charge 7%. Is that okay with you? So you just right up front. Oh yeah. That'd be, yeah. Mary, that's fine. Right? So don't be afraid of this. Don't feel bad about what you get paid. You earn it, and this industry earns it. I promise you that. Okay, one final thing I want to do and bring this to a close, and that is the most important presentation you'll ever make, the most important sales presentation is to yourself. Before I do this, I want to remind you, I'll send you a copy of all this presentation, plus my favorite scripts, plus the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. Just send an email to dave@kw.com, dave@kw.com. Give me 3 ahas from this presentation that it was, any comments about it's worth to you, but 3 ahas. And then I will, by tomorrow at the latest, send you all those documents that I said. Okay. So here's the final thing is the presentation you'll make to yourself. We call it the power of self-talk. I think it's the most important conversation you ever have in your life to develop your mental resilience, your mental attitude, and your strength. And here's what you say to yourself. Dave, we're in a skill-based sales profession, and I am working at mastering those skills. I'm like a Navy SEAL. I'm putting in the training and the time. I practice hard, long, and often. I memorize new scripts. I work on my presentation. I work on how I ask for business. And as I do that, I'm increasing my confidence. My confidence gets better. My confidence increases. And now I know I'm really good at presenting. I've got the scripts and dialogues down. And others can feel that positive energy. They just can. They feel it. It makes them want to list with me and so they do list with me. And my listings sell. And then that word goes to neighbors and they see, and I get the credibility. And now I have a referral-based business and I can take it as big as I want. And I follow Gary Keller's guidance. And Gary Keller said, think big, aim high, and act bold. And that's what I'm doing.
Dave Jenks, thank you.
All right. So let me put, who should I put? Let me put Mandy back in charge. Mandy, you, by the way, you would be very impressed, Mandy. I actually let 10 people in during that presentation.
I noticed that. I saw.
Did you notice that their little thing would pop up on the screen, and there I was, didn't break stride, just let them in. I'm looking for extra credit, Mandy, on this. That's funny. Good. What a great turnout. And so if anyone has any questions, please chat them in, or go unmute yourself and ask it. Or if you want to just share an aha that stood out in this for you, because sometimes Gary Keller and I believe that curiosity matters, but so does insight. Curiosity leads to questions. What about this? What about this? And we learn from questions. Curious people learn, but we really learn from ahas, because questions sort of say, well, I need to know this before I can move forward. But an aha says, I got it. I can do this. I'm going to go do this. That's why I'm asking you to send me, 3 ahas. So either way, questions or ahas.
Hey, Dave, I got a question.
Yes, sir.
This is Ross.
Yeah, Ross.
A lot of the language that you used, you mentioned, exuding confidence and the fact that it comes off as very professional without sounding either condescending or cocky or arrogant.
Yes.
How do you kind of balance that, especially with stuff that maybe doesn't sound like me, mastering it and then customizing it to make it not come off as arrogant, but actually sound genuine?
Okay, here's what a great, it's a wonderful question. Here's the first thing is that you take things that wouldn't normally be comfortable for you, and by your repetition and memorization and internalization, they become you. All of a sudden now you have a little more boldness about saying things because you know the words, right? And that isn't something you would have done before because you probably wouldn't have thought about saying it that way. But now you know the power of it, so you now have the confidence to use it. And also, it's funny, you see me, but if you heard somebody else like a Lynn McKissick or Althea Osborne using those scripts I did, they would be saying it differently. It would be in their style. So that's the other thing. Your style will come through. Your natural style will come through even after you've memorized it. When you first memorize it, it's like learning any new thing. You feel uncomfortable with it, like your comfort zone. You're outside your comfort zone. This isn't normally how I say things, but the more you repeat it and do it, the more it becomes comfortable. And then it's natural for you. The second thing is, don't worry so much about how you're coming across. Don't worry so much. That's one of the things we learn in assertive behavior. Don't be so worried about what other people think. I love the title of the book that's called Your Opinion of Me is None of My Business. I kind of love that because it's really good sometimes to not be so worried about what others think. What I find with people that are very good with other people, like all of you probably are, I was for sure before I became more assertive, you have this instinct of diplomacy. And you know when something is offensive or you're talking down to somebody. And so you won't go there. Your natural tendency will not be to go there. And so you won't offend people, but you will be more assertive in describing what you do and why they should list with you. And people want to work with confident people. They really want to work with confident people. So I would say the way you get past the discomfort is don't worry so much about other people's impression of it, and then make sure that you do the work to memorize it. And practice is another thing. I would find 2 or 3 others, and maybe you in your market center already do script playing with script practicing, then dive into that, pull out these scripts, other ones, work at memorizing them, work at practicing, work at doing your presentation. It gets comfortable.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. No, great question. I think that stops a lot of people. This just doesn't feel like me. No, of course it doesn't. You haven't said things like this before. But once you get the master of the poetry, then you can speak in that poetry. I mean, I think about, one of the things that I just as a side, one of the things that I talked about this with Mark King, we were saying, we ought to do a class in acting for agents. Because you think about all of these actors you see on screen, they're playing characters that aren't even close to who they are. More aggressive or more contained or more nervous or whatever. I mean, they're playing all these roles, that aren't them, but they're adapting to what it's like to be them. And so what's fun in your life is to work at stretching the bandwidth of your emotional capacity to express yourself. And you could say, what would it sound like if I got really angry at somebody? What would it sound like if I was really soft and loving and encouraging? Or what would it sound like if I was preaching a sermon? Or, and the only reason is because that isn't who you're going to be, but it does expand your bandwidth. So I would say in this game, it's really good at expanding your way into territories that, that maybe weren't comfortable for you before. Yeah. Well, by the way, I would just tell you, that's one of the things I had to do. I mean, to become a leader, I had to get bolder in ways that I had never been before. Yeah, I'm sorry. I talked over somebody.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for presenting to Milwaukee. Really appreciate it. Question I had was, I've started to do more in farming this year. And so your story about that, your friend, the other agents who honored and respected the farm that he was serving, as we, eventually will come out of this COVID situation. But right now, when we're in it, for farming, do you see a way either through scripts or anything else that you can congruently express that level of respect and honor if it's by email or over the phone?
Yeah,
since-
I think, no, by the way, I think, Brian, that's a great question. And I think you can do it face to face. You can do it with Zoom or email. Or, you know, but the thing is that you want it to be as much interactive as you can, right? So it would be better to call them. But I think to use his script, and by the way, I have a more detailed version of his script in my Dave's favorite scripts. So just, by the way, I didn't focus this presentation on listing lead generation, but I have a bunch of scripts in that. So remember, dave@kw.com, and I will send you my favorite scripts as well as this presentation. But Brian, here's what I think. I think what Jim did was, see, he put it in their interest first. So you could say, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm really sorry to bother you at home. I know it's your quiet time, but I have one question that's very important to me. May I ask it? Sure, Dave. Yeah, you can ask it. Great. So my commitment is to increase the value of homes in your neighborhood by making it a better place to live. What kind of suggestion would you give to me about what I could do to increase the value of homes in your area or make it a better place to live? See, what's neat about that is I took the Jim one about making it a better neighborhood, but I added to it my commitment to increase the value of homes in your neighborhood. And by the way, as an agent, I want to own that. Yeah, what's my job? My job is to increase the value of homes in this neighborhood and to maximize what people net when they sell here. That's my job. Well, really, can you do that, Dave? Yes, I can. I get people to list it right. I get people to stage their homes right. I market it right. I get other agents interested in this area. I increase the value of homes here. See, so that's where you, Brian, you see how that's bolder than most agents would be, but it's also very much in their interest. See, and so I think that kind of that nice opening. I'm sorry to bother you here at home. Gary Keller loves the one. I hope I haven't reached you at a bad time. That's his, because it's easier for people to say no than yes, right? In a sense, when you interrupt them and you're a salesperson, they prefer to say no than yes. So you want to give them an opportunity to say no that is a yes, right? So Gary likes to say, would you be offended if I stayed in touch with you and sent you market information in the area? And of course, well, no, that's okay, Gary, I wouldn't be offended. You notice how he's saying that? So in a sense, he's getting permission. If he said to him, would it be okay, can I send you some material in the area? And they go, no, you know what? We get so much mail and all that stuff, hard for us to keep track of it. So it's easier for them to say no to the positive. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
so
does.
One of the neat things in scripts and dialogues of selling is ask a question where they can say no, but for you, it means yes. So that would be one. So, I'm sorry to bother you here at home. Would you mind if I ask you one question? No, that's all right, Dave. Ask us one question, right? Or one of the things I like, I kind of like, I use it. It's one of those scripts I use. I call it. It's the detective one. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I'm licensed by the state of Wisconsin to help people sell their homes. And so right now, I'm looking for this person that has an urgent need to sell their home in the shortest time and to get the highest possible price for it. Do you know anyone that fits that description? Well, no, we don't really, Dave. Well, great. If you hear of somebody, here, let me leave you my card here. Have them give me a call, right? So you're like this detective going around trying to find this suspect. Do you know anyone that fits this description? I love that phrase, by the way. When you're looking for an assistant, you say, I'm looking for an assistant that's tech savvy, really good with people, really organized and dependent. Do you know anyone that fits that description that I can talk to, that kind of thing? So that's a good phrase. But Brian, great question. Yes, I think we can, whatever form of reaching out to people. Now, the real neat thing about Command is that Command, the Keller Williams platform, is it has a whole marketing section that's really built for electronic and digital marketing, social media, emails, creative emails that are interesting to watch. You can use, is it BombBomb? Is that the video?
That's the video email, yes.
Yeah, the video email, the BombBomb. I have people that have sent me BombBombs. I love them. It's really just so, quick and easy. So yes, I think, Brian, you have to get up to speed on new ways to reach out to people. But I wouldn't get rid of the old ones. I would, if I have a chance to do an area of, anyway, anything that allows me to have personal contact with people, networking still matters. Yeah,
Thank you.
you bet.
Dave, I'll just say this, more of a comment.
Yes.
Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People is one of those books that I reread every year.
Good for you.
And it is amazing to me how a book that was written in the early 1900s with very much examples from the early 1900s are so relevant to today.
Well said, my friend, and I highly recommend. It's why the other one that is a surprise, because people dealing with times of adversity and difficulty and anxiety and emotional issues. His book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. He wrote it around the same time, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And that doesn't rate as high as How to Win Friends and Influence People, but it's up there still continually, maybe in the top 500 of Amazon every year. How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And I can tell you, since I'm kind of a master of personal development and modern psychology and positive psychology, I mean, I've kind of seen and been aware of all the modern gurus in terms of personal development. Almost every one of them has just taken one or two chapters of that book and expanded it into their own approach, right? I'm just telling you, it's that broadly deep. So I recommend that one too. But thank you for that endorsement, Charlie.
Yeah, no, it just even recapping the 3 communication fundamentals and the support of 6. It's just a good foundational base to just be a great person that people want to be around, and it attracts the kind of people you want.
That's what it does. It's kind of an adjunct to the secret, right? The secret says, you attract to you what you want, but you also attract to you who you are. And you want to be a person of attraction. And I think that book is all about being a person of attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Anything else?
Dave, kind of a stretch question, I guess.
Sure.
But during some of these presentations, how important is it for you to integrate language that alludes to the ongoing relationship or the lifetime client or the positive reviews or setting those sorts of expectations that it's not just this home that we're going to be interacting with each other, but kind of that ongoing relationship.
I love that. I think that's great, Ross. What a great point. And you want to make that you're not just here for the one gig, right? And I would do it in one of 2 ways. I'd say, I just love this business of real estate. I love this particular area where you live. That's why I've specialized in it. That's why I know the marketplace. That's why I work so hard to study it. It's why I've listed and sold so many homes here. It's why I've helped buyers come here. Is because I love this area. I just do. I love doing it. And so by the way, I'm here to earn the right, I hope, to handle the sale of your home. But truthfully, I'd love to be your realtor for life. And I'd love to have you, recommend me to other people because this is the game I love to play. So anything that says that, and you say, by the way, just like I did in that 10 steps, by the way, we get to closing and that's not the end of my relationship with you. I want to be your realtor for life. If I can help you move to your next location, and I'm going to stay in touch with you. I hope you wouldn't mind if I stay in touch with you, because you may become aware that friends of yours who are either moving here from where you've gone to, or you just know they're moving here, or they're wanting to sell their home here. I know that I want you to be a great advocate for the work I do here. So anything like that, Ross, I think that sets up that long-term relationship. Yeah, I think that's a good thing. And also that sets up your long-term commitment to the business and to your clients. Yeah, good questions. All right, well, I think we are at our 11:30 time. Anything else, Charlie, that we need to do, or Mandy, anything else we need to do?
I think I had one last quick question that just came through on the chat.
Sure, go, no, fire it, that's good.
Are there scripts that would help newer agents that do not have the listing history to be able to talk to potential clients that doesn't focus on personal listing experience?
Well, what you notice is none of mine did.
Yeah.
What you'll really notice, for those of you new agents, I want you to listen to what you just heard from Dave Jenks. None of it referred to my experience. None of it referred to how many homes I've sold, how much I know, right? Now, some of it did by competence. I'm a master of the marketplace, right? Well, you could say my team and I are a master of the marketplace. I work in cooperation with this incredible group of agents that are part of the world's largest, most powerful real estate company. And we advise each other on how to really best serve our clients. And that, remember, there was one I did in there that says, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a professional. I know what I know and I know what I don't. If I know, I'm going to give you the right straight answer. If I don't know, I've got this incredible company behind me and I will go to them and I will bring you the right answer. So it's okay for you not to know everything. It's okay for you to, because what they're getting from you is your commitment. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, remember, there's 3 reasons to list with me. You can trust me. I will answer all your questions or get you the right answer. And 3, you could say we, that had your team in this. We will protect you all the way through closing. So as new agents, I really would tell you that, you focus on your commitment, you focus on your mastery of the language, and you focus on your mastery of real estate, not on your track record. Now, if you have a track record, you can blow your own horn. That's good. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the things I'm really excited about is in the last year, 100 people have trusted me with the sale of their home. Man, that touches me. Right? You don't make it a braggadocio, you make it a how much you're grateful that they trusted you to sell their home. So when you have a track record, use it. But if you don't, then what you do is you sell your personal qualities, your commitment, your dedication, your honesty. That's what you sell. And you always have that to sell. And that's why I want you to, get that assertiveness Bill of Rights. See, some people think about what they don't have more than what they have, right? One of the things you learn in the game of selling is you sell what you have to sell. You come up with confidence and sell what you're bringing to the table. And you're not worried about what you don't bring to the table.
You hit it spot on. I tell, our newer agents who come in, I said, the first thing you can do, you're cutting yourselves at the knees as soon as you say I'm new.
That's right.
If you say that, it
doesn't matter.
Bonkers.
I'm committed. And by the way, I'm part of the most powerful real estate company in this area. And I'm bringing all of that power to your service. Yeah. I'm a person who gives service. I'm committed to you. I'm honest. I will get you the answers that you need. And I promise you, we will protect you and take your interests all the way through closing. Yep. Yeah. Good thing. All right.
Dave Jenks, we appreciate your time and always pouring back to our group in Milwaukee. We will hope to have you back here in the first quarter of 2021 for another session of Dave Jenks Milwaukee.
Would love to. Thank you very much.
Awesome. And guys, reminder too, if you want any of his follow-up stuff, shoot Dave a note with your 3 action items from today's
3 ahas. Yep. 3 ahas.
Dave@kw.com. I can tell you last month he spoke to the ALC. I sent him a note, and the stuff I got in the aftermath was mind-blowing stuff. Send him a note on your takeaways.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Mandy, thanks for all the technical support and getting it set up. We are a team.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.